I'm Scott McHenry, and this is a bit of me. The kid, the platoon called him because he was small. His name was Will, and right now he wished he was smaller still. Shriveled behind the too small rock, Will trembled. Trembled some from fear, more from the ground shaking from mortar fire, too close. Will loved this rock, though, hugged it like it was his best girl. He'd left its cover to get Julio, a bad move. Julio had been first to go down, limply. Will went after him. Kalashnikov rounds dropped him like a bad habit. There he lay, in the open, wishing for that too small rock. Miggy sprinted out, grabbed Will's leg, and dragged him back. Then went to get his cousin, Julio. Mortar rounds left Miggy in pieces beside his cousin. Nobody else dared move except to shake. Shell fragments and bullets sang their song. Will loved his fellow soldiers, but he did not cry. Unbidden, Will's last talk with his dad ran through his head. Nervous, son? Going off to war? Dad, I'm scared right enough, but I think my country needs me. Were you scared, Dad, in Vietnam? Well, of course I was. We all were. Men were trying to kill us, for Pete's sake. Son, I'll tell you what my daddy told me. Your grandpa. He was on Saipan and Okinawa too. He told me when he was most scared, he would think of home. Fasten onto a special place and think on it as hard as he could. For him, it was his papa's barn, place of peace. Son, in the Yadrang Valley, I found out what my daddy meant. Place of peace, where he and I could go to escape the terror. For me, it was the old orchard on the hill above the barn. I loved those trees. Granddad Solomon planted them when he was a boy. I went there with him and Daddy, and my grandmother's too. So, you're going to be scared, son, when the killing starts. Unless your mom and I raised an idiot child. But you won't run, son. Our family will never run. When the worst is upon you, find your place of peace. Go inside your soul, son. Calm your turmoil and do your job. So, shot and shelled, terrified, young Will did his job. He kept doing it until the helicopters came and flew him away. He drifted in and out of knowing what was happening. He visited his secret place, his place of peace, the trout stream up the holler, behind the barn, below the orchard. He had fished that stream, knew every hole and rock and tree. Steep, fast, narrow bed, rocky, with jack-in-the-pulpits and Dutchman's breeches on the banks. He knew it, sat and read on the rocks, fished it. His place of peace. He longed for it. He felt its pull, its mystical allure. It got him through the killing and through his friends dying. Consciousness dawned, slowly, finally, to a deep, plummy voice. "Can you hear me, son?" "Dad? Dad? Am I home?" "Soldier, you're in Walter Reed Hospital. Been here 8 months. I'm the counselor for this floor, Captain Nixon. Your country loves you, soldier, for your service." "Sir, my friends, the platoon, what happened to my platoon? Did they make it? I think Julio and Miggy were hit." "Julio? Miggy? Oh, the Beaners. The Beaners, they were killed, soldier." "The Beaners? The Beaners?" Disgusted, Will wanted to spit his outrage into those fat, wormy lips. But fog of anger glimmered, gave way to a cloud of black. The red face of the captain faded, receded, and Will went blank. In and out, here then gone, in and out. Again, Will awoke. His mind was awash with the killing. Julio, Miggy, dead, dead, dead. Will, the kid, wanted to wail, to scream, to keen. He lived. His friends were dead. He lived. He lived. Will wanted to weep. He wanted to. He tried to. But Will could not cry. Weird, he thought. People cried all the time. He wondered if he was crazy. Friends had died. Friends had died. But Will had not cried. He felt too beat to cry. Maybe that was it, not crazy. If he started to cry, he might never stop. Days passed, weeks. Will's physical wounds healed slowly. A general came by with a couple of colonels, with a couple of photographers, with a couple of reporters. Nurses' aides got Will into a new uniform, gussied him up. A stage was set up, microphones, even a TV camera crew. The general, hale and portly, untouched by war, was a beamer, a smiler. Bestowed upon Will a shiny star and 4 purple hearts. Bestowed upon Will some medals. But his friends were still dead. The general beamed. The general smiled. The general put his arm around Will's shoulders. Cameras clicked. Everybody saluted. Most of them smiled. Some nurses cried. Will? Well, no. Soldier, you're a hero. Your country loves you. Then Will went home. Home to the hills. Home to his secret place. His place of peace. Hugged his mom. Hugged his dad. Told him, I'm going fishing. Funny looks all around. But he flew out the door. Took his trout rod. Took his old walking stick. Hobbled through Mom's garden, through the chicken yard. There's Granddad's barn. There's the creek. Trout, here I come. Must have been dry last winter. This spring, creek's mighty low. Up the creek, round the foot of the rock cliff. What the? Creek's a trickle. Well, go on. What on? A wall of rocks and trees and mud covered the stream, filled the holler, buried the trout, clear out of sight. Stunned, disbelieving, thought he was back there. Nightmare. Dropped his trout pole, limping, hobbled up the steep hill. Rocks and uprooted trees littered the hillside. Topped out on the hill, should see the orchard, the trees his daddy loved. What he saw was destruction. Shattered rocks, splintered trees. He couldn't stop. One hobbling step, then another. No trees. No orchard. Destroyed rocks and trees. A man on a D9 dozer. Big yellow caterpillar. Eating lunch. He spotted Will. Climbed down. Lumbered toward him. What are you doing here? Get out of here. But I live. What are you doing? What have you done? Stop. Stop. Are you crazy? Granddad's orchard. Where's the orchard? Where are the apple trees? Hell, boy. That's history. Dozed 'em over the hill, I did. We're a mining this hilltop, you fool. Get off my mind. What are you anyhow? Some kind of tree hugger? You are, ain't you? You and your kind, pinko commie. Get off my mind, you tree hugger. There's coal to be got, boy, and I'm going to get it. If you don't like it, get out of here. This is America, boy. If you don't like it, move to Canada. You tree huggers are what's a-killing this country. Get off my mind, you big crybaby. Will raised his stick. Wished it was his M16. Man, if he had his M16... Wait. What? Crybaby? Will brushed his face, felt water, looked at his fingers. Fingers shiny, wet with tears. He turned, hobbled away, down, stumbling, down, crying. Will was crying. The ruined hill was crying. The shattered trees were crying. The blasted rocks were crying. The buried stream, the beautiful trout were crying. The entire mountain was in pain. Will's place of peace was crying. Will was crying. Would he ever stop? But, of course, his country loved him. And that's that.